Welcome to the October 2025 edition of Upfront and Real, brought to you by Ohio's Electric Cooperatives and Ohio Cooperative Living Magazine. I'm Karen Whitney, Director Communications. With me, our President and CEO, Craig Grooms. Welcome this morning.
Thank you.
In the October issue of the magazine, you mentioned talking about protecting and securing the backbone of modern life, the electric grid. We all know we can't function without it, home or businesses. But you also mentioned too, just securing what matters. Yeah. And with that, I think about locking the front door of your home, protect your family and your belongings, or antivirus software in the computer protects you from, cyber attacks, things like that. But how do you go about safeguarding, securing something so massive as the electric grid? How do you do that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So again, you have to consider what the electric grid is, right? It covers the entire United States. It goes into Canada. Very large system. That large system is broken up into three subsystems. We call them interconnections. And so Ohio is part of the Eastern Interconnection, which really spans from the Rocky Mountains to the Atlantic Ocean, up into New England, down to Florida. And so we're all electrically connected, so we care what happens to that grid. And protecting that grid really is multifaceted. There's several components working together. First starts with standards. So what should we all be doing? There's an organization called the North American Electric Reliability Corporation that, working with utilities, establishes standards that we can follow to make sure our systems are protected. Anything that really interacts with the overall electric grid, or maybe the bulk electric system, as it sometimes is referred, making sure that any interconnection with that grid is safe and secure, and that means cybersecurity, it means physical security, things like vegetation management, response plans, all of those things go into protecting the grid.
And you mentioned too another term, it's more of a layered defense, protecting the grid. Explain what you mean by that layered defense.
Yeah, that layered defense is really, what I refer to. It starts with standards, and then you have, cybersecurity, you have physical security, so all of those things working together. So NERC, working with the industry, establishes standards. The electric utilities like Buckeye Power, we take those standards and evaluate the systems that we have to understand what impact a malfunction might cause to the electric grid. And so we have to ensure that the systems that we own and operate don't have a negative impact to the electric grid. So you multiply that over the thousands of utilities that interact with the electric grid, and they all follow those same standards. And those standards can be audited, so there are organizations set up to go in and evaluate what the utilities are doing to make sure that what they are doing, the systems that they are protecting, are adequate and there are no negative situations being created by the systems and how they interact with the electric grid.
Everybody playing by the rules, essentially.
Yeah, and it's really the cyber side. We often think of the technology side, but it's really it's vegetation management, making sure trees are away from the power lines. There are access controls, making sure people don't gain access to systems that they shouldn't have access to. It's really a lot of practical steps in addition to more of the complicated technology-related standards that have to be followed.
If you take that down to the individual Ohio Electric Cooperative within the state, what are some of the things that that specific cooperative is doing to be part of that security system?
Yeah, I would say many of the same things. So there may not be dedicated reliability standards that the co-ops have to follow, but there are best practices that they follow, and it means securing their SCADA system or their control system on their distribution system. It's vegetation management, it's physical security, having fences around their substations, surveillance cameras, many of the same things that fall on the bulk electric system or the power grid, the co-ops do on their own systems. I talk about sharing best practices. That's a big part of our statewide organization to ensure that the co-ops, have the ability to share what they're doing with their neighbors, really to help their distribution stay as secure as can be.
You could take it down even further, I'm assuming, with an individual member of a cooperative. If we're all using it, we all have bear some responsibility. What can that one co-op member do to help reinforce that security.
Yeah, and as we talked about in the magazine, it's really all of these things are very similar to each other. So even at the member level, it's strong passwords, making sure your computers are safe. It's being aware of your surroundings. If you see something, say something. That's what we often say. And if they see a problem, whether it's trees or things that seem suspicious, they should report it to their co-ops. That's part of that layered defense. It starts with individual members and goes up to the electric utilities actually operating the electric grid. But they're all very similar. So yeah, a member can have an important role in protecting the grid.
Yeah, and I know from my own neighborhood, sometimes I know people don't like to see that tree cut into a weird shape or taken down, but it really has a huge impact.
It does.
If you don't take care of those things.
That's exactly right.
So, well, great. And certainly with winter coming right around the corner, we want to have the electricity working so we can all stay warm this winter.
Yes, we do.
Thank you, Craig, for talking with us, and thank you for watching. We'll see you right here again next month.